7 underrated 90s horror TV shows that ended too soon. We all enjoy an occasional frisson of fear, and this characteristic feature in the audience has led to the massive popularity of the horror genre. The 80s were one of the golden eras for horror movies. We had some cult classics come our way that spooked and scared us for times to come. However, the fear factor was mostly reliant on the shock value. Barring a few instances, the usual horror movies from the 80s focused more on jump scares and gory visuals to give you the chills. The situation changed in the 90s as movies started to dwell more on an eerie concept. The story became the new hero, and the makers experimented with various uncharted territories to deliver a horror flick. The 90s probably cannot outmatch the 80s in terms of content and quality, but it definitely gave rise to some interesting projects. CGI had gained popularity by then, and the channels were willing to invest heavily in the TV shows as well. They hoped to reap the benefits of the popularity of the movies and easy availability of CGI, and as a result, some amazing horror TV shows saw the light of day. In this video, we take you through some of these fascinating TV shows that had an unfairly short run despite their quality content. Before we go into our list, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click from you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Let's begin. Perversions of Science, 1997. Is science more of a curse than a gift? Perversions of Science will plant such thoughts in your head. This show was a popular science fiction anthology that deals with the dark side of humanity. You will see twisted relationships and a crooked take on the unknown parameters. It has new stories in each episode that is packed with horror, violence, and sex. This show is strange and unique, for it came to the audience with a kind of content that was previously unheard of. The twists in the tale followed the style of The Twilight Zone. Some of the episodes, like Dream of Doom, would leave you with a thought. It tells the story of a man who couldn't wake up, as every time he woke up, he found himself in another dream. It's the stuff nightmares are made of. A sexy android hosted the show, and it only added to the erotic quotient of the show that already had tons of sexual content. However, despite all the entertainment it offered, the show wasn't a successful venture from HBO and was eventually taken off television. Kindred the Embraced, 1996. The city of San Francisco has a deep, dark secret. Several vampire clans inhabit the city amidst humans, and Julian Luna is the undead prince of these vampires. He has some strict rules that all vampires must abide by. For instance, nobody can take a human life or transform a human into a vampire without consent. While enforcing peace and order, he falls in love with a human journalist named Caitlin who threatens to expose all vampires. Julian has other troubles to deal with because Eddie, the leader of the warlike Bruja, is not too keen to maintain peace. A show based on an RPG game doesn't inspire much hope, but Kindred the Embraced is an exception. It did not have the budget to afford the quality of special effects that would be required to replicate the game, but the storyline made up for such shortcomings. The vampires here are not your mindless bloodsuckers, but are more complicated and emotional. The fast-paced episodes ensure that you cannot take your mind off the exciting plot. C. Thomas Howell and Mark Frankel seal the deal with some effortless acting skills. It is a great tragedy that Mark Frankel, who was so good in the pivotal role of Julian Luna, died in a freak motorcycle accident sometime after the show was wrapped. The makers were already debating whether or not to go for the second season of the show, and his unfortunate death drew curtains on the possibilities. If you're a fan of the vampire shows but are tired of the same old conventional storyline, this would be a welcome change.
Come down and eat chicken with me, beautiful. It's so dark.
The Stand, 1994. The Stand is a 4-part miniseries where Stephen King's horror novel The Stand has been narrated through 4 intriguing episodes. It tells the story of a super virus that leaked out from a lab and managed to kill most of the population. The remaining survivors are split in a group of 2, the good and the evil. The series ends with a final showdown between the 2. Shall good prevail over evil? You have to watch this exciting series to find out. The adaptation of one of the longest and most complex novels of Stephen King is no easy task, and credit goes to the makers for perfecting it. A lot of the series is focused on the fight between good and evil. For this, a lot of stuff has been taken from the Bible, especially the final battle between God and Satan. Some parts of the book had to be chopped off to fit into the 4-episode series, but it still bodes well with the plot. The makeup and sound effects are a class apart, and it is no surprise that the show won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards. In these times of the coronavirus pandemic, you can go and watch this for some hope and entertainment.
Come on, pal, you're gonna shoot me because I raped your wife? Shoot me, come on, I raped your wife. She liked it.
Get out of here, Nowak!
And Nowak, get out of here.
Brimstone, 1998 to 1999. A cop serving a term in hell strikes a deal with the devil himself. Does it get more badass than this? This series centered around the character of Ezekiel Stone, a detective who killed the rapist of his wife. After his sudden death in the line of duty, he's sent to hell for his sin of murder. The tables turn after a massive jailbreak frees some of the worst prisoners in hell. The cop makes a deal with the devil to bring back the escaped souls, and in return for this service, he would be granted heavenly redemption. Untimely cancellations can ruin the best of shows, and Brimstone is a perfect example. Fox Studios had initially planned 19 episodes for the first season, but only a mere 13 episodes were made. The final episode shows the cop failing to bring the week's quota of damned souls back to hell, and they ended on such a cliffhanger. Aside from the terrible fate that the show had to suffer, it was one of the finest shows back in the day. The dark Gothic theme of the show was perfected, and the dark blue light in almost all scenes adds to the spooky effect. Peter Horton does a fabulous job as the troubled and heroic protagonist, while John Glover plays the perfect devil. The next time they make something so good, we hope the makers plan a primetime slot and proper promotion. Ghost Stories, 1997. Who doesn't love a good supernatural anthology series? Here it is with the impressive host Rip Torn, who brings you a buffet of some spine-chilling paranormal stories. Each episode featured a different story, and some of the episodes like Cold in the Grave, At Death's Door, Consumers, All Night Diner, and You'll Wake the Dead will give you sleepless nights for sure. It is a mini TV series that ran for only 1 season, but left a deep impact among the viewers. The creative stories in each episode offered a great variety. While some were funny, others were serious, and some others were downright spooky. Rip Torn adds his own bite to the narrative with his role as a commentator in this show. He introduces every episode and also signs off in style. There's not much on offer in terms of special effects, but the stories make up for all flaws. Despite being a great show, Ghost Stories is criminally underrated and overlooked. Much of it can be owed to the extremely low-budget production that resulted in poor picture quality. It got little attention from the media, and the bad time slots meant that most of the viewers were oblivious to the existence of this brilliant show. If you are up for a serious take on horror anthologies, Ghost Stories might be just the thing you're looking for. American Gothic, 1995 to 1996. This show presents to you a peaceful small town that has an evil sheriff in charge. He has demonic powers that enable him to manipulate people and have his way. Although he is a sheriff, he has committed murder and rape. The only person that he is wary of is a young boy named Caleb, who is actually his biological son fathered through rape. He tries to corrupt Caleb like he does others, but it doesn't work out as he planned. Will the sheriff be eventually brought to justice? American Gothic was a breakthrough series in terms of the unique, intoxicating nature of the show. The dark plot was complemented by Gary Cole, who put forth one of his best performances to date as the sinister sheriff. It was one of the most evil characters on TV, and yet had some heroic traits. The young Lucas Black was also brilliant as Caleb, and except for CBS Network, everyone played their part. This is because the network showed incompetency with the way they showed the episodes out of order and even left out some episodes. Later on, they bailed on this amazing show despite the popularity that it was gaining among fans. If you managed to get a hold of this, it would be pure gold, as the dark and witty storyline is set to entertain you.
It's all right.
Chiller, 1995. A horror anthology with some good stories is always an attractive proposition for the fans. It was a popular TV show in the UK that aired on the ITV network. It consists of only 5 episodes, and they show some supernatural and paranormal stories using a lucid narrative. With some known faces in UK television in the mix of things, they had the perfect talent to execute the stories that they had in mind. You can tell that the show had a steep production budget because they roped in some famous British actors. It used to be a popular primetime show on a Saturday night, and it is no surprise that the viewership was high. The ambiance is chilling, and an unsettling story in every episode would get you hooked until the very end. The show used actors of the caliber of Nigel Havers, Kevin McNally, John Sim, and Phyllis Logan. Some of the episodes are indeed very creepy and tell some haunting stories. For instance, one episode deals with a story of a crooked cult that is sacrificing kids, and another tells the horrific tale of a woman who is haunted by the ghost of a baby that she had miscarried. If only the show went on longer than it did. We hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to us. It helps us a lot, and do let us know in the comments section. Have an amazing day ahead, and we'll meet again soon.